Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft. It's 4.0, and he has 5 quarterbacks going off the board. In the first 10 picks, Mac Jones, he projects to go number 3 to San Francisco. That has been in that spot now for quite some time, and one of the reasons is because it seems to make sense for the offense the 49ers have been running. Under Kyle Shanahan, 52% of the 49ers snaps are under center. That's the 3rd highest in the league. 87% of passes come from the pocket. That's the 6th most in the league. And so this is intriguing to me as, again, Lewis, Mel, and David are with us this morning because I've had people on this program, Lewis, many of them, in fact, say that Mac Jones is not good enough. He's just not as good enough a prospect to be taken that high and to be worth all they gave up to get him. So if someone were to suggest that in a draft room that you were sitting in, what would you say to that person?
Look, value is largely subjective. And I when you're talking about quarterbacks in particular, okay, we've seen this happen before in terms of what we think represents great value at the quarterback position based on what someone's traits are and what we feel as though what their ceiling ultimately, should be, and then falter simply because some of the intangible things that you have to also factor into the equation just are not there. And look, I get the fact that Mac Jones is not, from a trait perspective, height, weight, speed, arm strength, ability to make unique plays, is not on the same level as Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. He's not. He would tell you the same thing. But we also know this. All the people who play football, all the people who talk about football, all the people who watch football, when you watch NFL games in particular, the reason why teams win and lose games is largely because of what's going on between the ears as far as decision making, and then your accuracy, your ability to pass the football with accuracy. Not just throw the football, but pass the football with accuracy. And look, I'll tell you what, I'll end it by saying this. Some very, very, very smart quarterback tutors and former offensive coordinators who coached at a very high level in the NFL have told me they believe Mac Jones is the best quarterback in this draft. Not just one that needs to be in the mix or that deserves to be in the mix outside of Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, but they believe as though ultimately he's the best quarterback because they're taking in the entire picture here. They're taking in all the information, not just how fast they are, not just how many different arm slots they can throw from, not just how many off-platform second reaction plays they can create, but based on how many smart decisions do they make in totality and how accurate are they with the football within the context of an offense as it's constructed. That's what wins football and loses football games at the NFL level. And if Kyle Shanahan believes Mac Jones gives them the best chance to get over the hump, then ride with it. Simple as that.
I get it. That makes sense. But, Mel, I'll come back to you because I've been studying all this stuff now for weeks, getting set to host this thing. And like a month ago, Todd McShay put out his list of the best players in this draft, and he had Mac Jones 30th. So he's the 30th best player in the draft a month ago, and now he's the 3rd pick in the draft. Explain how that makes sense.
Todd underrated him, and I think that's the bottom line. That's his opinion, but I think he underrated him. He's probably moved him up since because boards do change. But I think when you look at Mac Jones, I think the difference to me is when you think about that Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes looked like he was going to be beaten by the 49ers, and Jimmy Garoppolo missed the throw. This is the thing. Accuracy to all levels for Mac Jones is off the charts. What he did at the Senior Bowl week, I was watching him down there, but on TV you're saying a guy communicate the play to the huddle, the verbiage, in a blink. I mean, the cerebral approach of Mac Jones, how super intelligent he is, and how incredibly accurate he is. This is a division, hey, with Russell Wilson, you got, Matthew Stafford coming in and Kyler Murray. They feel like with the talent we have, and we can get a quarterback who can put the ball on those receivers. And he did it at Alabama, and he did it without Jalen Waddle healthy, and he did it without Ruggs, and he did it without Judy. They moved on. He didn't have a center for the biggest 2 games in this season in Landon Dickerson when being hurt, and yet he still was unbelievable. So I think Mac Jones, like I say, we talked about Justin Fields answering the call. Mac Jones answered it every time this year as well.
And let me be fair to Todd. He was 28th, not 30th. I just looked it up to make sure. And leave it to you, Mel, to use any opportunity to take a shot at your buddy McShay. David Pollack, the floor is yours.
I got to play the game because he does it all the time. So when I get a shot, I'm not going to swing and miss, believe me.
He's got him at 28th was in the original rankings. Go ahead, David.
It's crazy. Mel, he didn't have Waddle or Dickerson, but still had the best team on the planet. But that's okay. When I look at Mac Jones and when I see this QB debate, and when we start talking about this, I think it's interesting. But here's what I'll say about Mac Jones. He's already closer to his ceiling than these other guys are. If these other guys grow and continue to get better, they can pass and eclipse Mac Jones. But what Mac Jones has already shown you is he's already shown you he's ready. He's already shown you he can throw on time, with accuracy, read defenses. I think Mel mentioning the Senior Bowl was important because a lot of talent on both sides. You still go out there and learn. You still put the ball in the money. So I understand why there's this debate and why people look at Mac Jones that way. If I'm San Francisco, he's my guy. I believe that. I don't give a darn what Mel's mock draft says or Todd's or anybody else. I'm going to do what's best for my team. And if that guy can leave me, so be it. But I do think when you look at ceiling and you look at all these guys, I'm going to put Mac Jones at 5 in this draft because those other guys can get to an insane amount with their arm talent, mobility, playmaking ability. But they will have to develop. Mac Jones, he's already developed and he's turned himself into a great prospect and a guy that's already closer to his ceiling than those other guys.
This is such a good discussion. It will continue.
Can I say one thing, Rainey?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Peyton Manning had no ceiling, they said. He was in his room, in his house telling me, they said I had no ceiling.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.